Previously on Unpacked.
Like, oh my gosh, I have to work now.
Yes.
I gotta be a parent. When I woke, I was woken up by screams. Open the door, flames hit me, both my hands. Immediately my hands started peeling. I told them the house was burned down and Nadif was inside. I only began dealing with it, I think, maybe 5 years later.
Clive Chabalala, popularly known as DJ C Live, gives details about the house fire that took the life of his son. This is part 2 of the conversation. Let's continue to unpack. How did you break the news to the siblings and his mother's family?
I really can't recall how it was broken to the family, but my daughter, her mom told her. And it was a very traumatic experience for her because they were very close. They were very close. And from his mom's side, he had sisters that he lived with, that he lived with prior moving in with me. And they were even closer, but she was young. And I'm not sure how she processed it, but I can tell you that the trauma of losing a little brother, your big brother, is something that lives with a child forever. I've got a brother I lost as well. I've got a sister I lost before I was even born. But just that thought just hurt so much that I had somebody that I could call my ace and confide in and look up to for support and whatnot. That is not there anymore. That on its own just traumatizes me. So I can imagine what it does to both his sisters. His eldest sister, from time to time, has moments where she breaks down and she's not okay. Just the mention of his name, sometimes puts in a very bad place. But I try to teach her that it's okay. Talk about your brother. It's not something that should scare you. Talk about him. Let's celebrate him. So I constantly, every time, whenever I get the moment, I talk about him and we laugh. We laugh about things he used to do, and as if he's there.
I think what you're saying about encouraging the sisters to still talk about him like he's here is so powerful, because the natural thing to want to do is not speak about it because you're not ready to deal with the pain. But keeping the memory alive and all those things can be so important, especially to someone like yourself, because it's not like he never existed.
Yeah.
Even if he's not physically here anymore, I, as a believer of an afterlife, would believe that he's still here. What are your views? Because you've mentioned not being a religious person. Yeah. Do you think his spirit still lives on and he's a guardian angel?
I do. I not so much guardian angel, but he's there. Like he's there. He's a part of me that I can't even erase. He's constantly there. Even right now, I see him. I hear him. And it's a great thing. What you would call a guardian angel. He's there. And it feels like somebody that's constantly, there with me.
As many African or Black people in this country do when we bury anyone, is that, we go through certain rituals and processes. Yeah. How did you and your family navigate that, considering the circumstances of how he died? Because, there's not necessarily a viewing, there's not necessarily open caskets and things like that.
Look, from his mom's side, they have a different way that they do their things, because they're from a very religious family. They're Catholic. From my side, my parents are religious, but I'm not. So I've not really had an issue with what they wanted to do on their end. I have my own ways as well, my own ways of dealing with my pain. You know, I guess culture starts when each person can start their own culture when they want and grieve how they want, you know. And I've dealt with the passing of my son in my own different way, you know. There wasn't any cultural things because that's not the kind of family we come from, you know, though I do wish there was something like that, you know. So I guess when there's no direction, you have to take it upon yourself, you know. And I mean, I every day I've got a box with these ashes in there, you know. We have our conversations, we talk, you know. I'm hoping one day to go back to the homelands, my dad's farm, and use those ashes and bury them in the family farm, you know, bury and build a tree there at the same time, and plant a tree, at the same time, and something that will symbolize, you know, every time I go home and say, okay, that's, you know.
In terms of, and I mean, obviously it's so difficult because his mom passed away. How did mom's family deal with everything? Because for them, it's 2 deaths in such a short space of time.
I really, you know, I really feel for his mom's side of the family, you know, because they were dealing with a lot. You know, the father had just passed away as well the year before, you know, and you know, they were dealing with a lot. They were dealing with a lot, you know. Hopefully, and I pray that they've gone through it and come through and come out of it in one piece, you know. You know, I think we'd all just lost a lot, you know, and it's hard to comfort other people while you are also broken, you know. Yeah, we've not spoken in a while, you know, because, you know, I think we just needed to go through that phase where Umuntu deals with their own things because trust, we're all triggers, you know. If I see them immediately, I'm triggered. They see me immediately, they're triggered, you know. And I've not been ready to go back and say, hi, Ninjani, you know. I was wondering how you guys are doing. I've not been ready to do that, you know.
And I appreciate your honesty about that. Because I think there's a certain pressure of like, how was I really born? Like, but the reality is exactly what you said about the triggers.
Yeah, huge triggers. And, you know, we weren't really that close anyway. So it's you know, we were brought together because of my son, you know, because of my relationship with their daughter, you know. So it's hard to force a relationship that isn't there, you know. But I do show compassion towards them, and you know, been in touch with his aunt a few times, you know, and yeah.
You say that your healing only started 5 years after. How were you living your life? How were you getting through the day-to-day prior to that?
Totally blocked it off. Totally blocked it off. I blocked it off, and I was just going about my daily life. I was like, I'm okay, you know, don't worry about me, you know. Meanwhile, I didn't realize I hadn't dealt with it until it started showing in other parts of my life that, you're a mess, bro. Go and get help, you know.
How did it show and manifest itself?
Look, it manifested in how I treated my partner at the time and how I dealt with my work. You know, I started seeing things fall apart. And I was lucky enough to get the help of a very, very good person in the industry, you know. He became my mentor, you know, and we spent a lot of time together. Lucky enough, he had been through more or less some similar journey as I. And I started seeing a shrink. And that's when everything started, you know, making sense. I started tracing every single thing that had happened to me to what I was doing each and every single day, and how I reacted to things, and how I acted, and how I behaved. You know, I was able to trace childhood trauma, you know what I mean? Our sessions encompassed a whole lot of things besides that trauma. But through that, I was able to deal with with this hurt, and I was able to start processing what had happened, and that's one of the most amazing things that has ever happened to me. Me seeing my psychologist, and she put me through a lot of work, and I didn't know I needed to do that as a Zulu man. I didn't know I needed to speak to Umlungu,
Yeah,
to tell me this is your pain comes from there, and this is how you need to deal with this. You know what I mean? There was a whole lot of work I had to do on me that started making so much sense, and I started letting go of a lot of pain, and I think the moment I let go was when I did a song that spoke about this incident. It's called Cocoa Dreams. It really, really speaks to what happened. I recorded a song, we shot a music video. Still wasn't too sure if it was the right thing to do. Am I trivializing my experience? But then I realized that the more I tell my story, it's not just about me. I had a duty, to share my experience, because people constantly look for beacons of light, beacons of hope in other people, and more so in people who are in the media. I don't know how that happens, but it just makes sense. Me as an everyday person, Usilav and I went through, you know what I mean? It gives me hope. Usilav is working through such trauma. Therefore, who am I? A friend of mine lost his son, who was the same age, a year later, and the first person he called was me. I was a mess at the time. I really was not ready. But here I was. I had this huge duty. I had to now hold and carry my friend and support my friend through a similar loss, which was a trigger for me. But I had to put myself aside, put my feelings aside, and deal with this friend of mine that needed help. So that's when I understood that it was more than just about me.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm here today, having this conversation with you. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I could be at home relaxed and not have to talk about this. But it gives me great healing as well to sit here with you and talk about the story and talk about it with other people over and over again. I don't know how, but it does, it really gives me so much closure. And it allows me to speak frankly about my experience, because my experience is not unique to me. As unique as it is to me, it's not. We all go through loss. We all go through trauma. Every single day something happens. And I think the more we take the taboo out of, and especially as Black people, we take the taboo out of death, the easier it will become for us to confront these demons, so to speak, and deal with these matters, So I freely talk about my son. I freely talk about my experience. Not to say that I've managed to conquer this huge mountain of an emotional mess it is. I haven't. I mean, just yesterday I was watching a music video with my daughter, and there was a scene where everything was burning down, and firefighters. Usually fire doesn't trigger me, but it depends. I could be in a bad space today. It will happen. I was triggered by this music video, and I couldn't watch it. I've just learned to manage it.
Yeah.
You
just described yourself. You say when your friend called you, you were a mess.
Yeah.
What does your version of mess look like? Because, even when we're speaking about how you not healing started to manifest itself.
Yeah.
And I think it's important because sometimes grief can appear as anger. It can appear as being reclusive.
Yeah.
What was your version of mess? Was it not showing up to appointments? Was it switching off your phone? Like, what was that?
No, my version of a mess was I was in a bad space in my relationship. Horrible space. My partner and I were not getting along. Work, it filtered out into the workspace, where I'd show up to work and I'd really lash out at people who reported to me, at my teammates, I wasn't delivering my work on time. I just had many issues. Meanwhile, I didn't realize that I needed to see someone and talk to somebody, and just everything was falling apart. My relationship with my parents, my partner, everybody. I was really out there alone, so to speak.
Did anyone around you actually recognize what was going on?
No. That is weird. Maybe they did, but nothing was said. But I remember the day I realized that I needed help. I was taking my partner to work, and I parked the car on the side outside our complex, and I called this mentor of mine, and I said, "Dude, listen, I know you don't know me like that, and we've never really spoken. You have come. I've booked you for certain things at at my old workplace where we had shoots and whatnot. But here I am. I'm going through something. I'm going through something, and I'm reaching out to you. Imagine reaching out to a stranger. I'm reaching out. I need your help. And he was like, "Yo, dude, I had no idea. I had no idea. But here we go. Come see me. Let's do 1, 2, 3. You need to go and see this person. You need to go and see this person, And from then on, my life really changed. It really, really changed. And I got to understand me. I really got to understand me.
I haven't gotten a sense of what his death did to the family dynamics, because there was a person there, now they're not there. What did it do to the family as a whole?
We come from black families where we don't talk. We don't talk in black families. We don't express our emotions. From time to time, my mother breaks down, because she misses her grandson. From his mom's side, and I know it really broke them, because he was the first grandson. Even on my family side, but he had a special connection with his mom's side, His grandmother didn't want anything, and that was her star child, and he was the heir to the throne on both ends, so that really, really broke them. And I think from the mom's side, because the mom had passed away, his mom has passed away that year, I'm certain this had just done the most. This was just a nail in the coffin, so to speak.
When you look back, I'm thinking about what you said about that particular day, and that you had a strange conversation in the morning. And even though you're not religious, I'm going to put my thoughts out there, which is, you may not be religious, but I definitely think you're spiritual on some level.
I am spiritual.
What do you think was happening now in hindsight? What do you think that was?
I can't make sense of it. I really cannot make sense of it. I can't make sense of it. I can't even claim to understand what it is that happened that day. I've had a few experiences in my life where the weirdest things have happened, and I've stood in awe, and I was like, wow, what just happened? And I shove it to the back of my head, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to get a straight answer. I won't. But I know there's something amazing and very majestic that just happened. For those two things to align like that, for me, that conversation I had with my partner, and then the incident that night, I do not want an explanation. I don't want to talk about it. Because everyone is going to have their own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
These things do exist.
What was it that eventually killed your relationship with your then partner?
I don't know. I think it had just gone past the sell-by date.
So you don't think where you were at in your life contributed to that?
No, of course it did.
Yeah.
Of course it did. As it does in any other time. I think we just gone past our sell-by date. It was just that. Yeah.
Where are you today?
I'm in a happy space. I'm in a great space, man. You know, they say life starts at 40.
Yes.
Yeah, they say life starts at 40. I've got my ups and downs, but there's a great understanding of life and how things work. You know, so you know how to manage izinto, and you learn to manage izinto. Like, well, what you're dealing with now is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You know, in these 40 years of my life, I've come to understand a few things.
Yeah.
What you're dealing with will pass. You'll wake up tomorrow, it's all right. You know, you'll learn to manage izinto. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think with experience, you just come to understand quite a lot of things about life.
What are your feelings now about having another child, considering having lost a child?
I told you earlier, I'm very broody.
Yes, and I'm on that train that everybody must have babies.
I'm extremely broody, broody, but I'm scared at the same time, not because of the trauma, but financially,
Yeah.
But finances have got nothing to do with kids. You know, when a child happens, it happens. That's it. You know, I just know I'm extremely broody, but I need to find a relationship first.
Okay, this is not the advertisement to say he's looking for one of you, but for me, I think the biggest takeaway is like the fact that you're so real about. You didn't suddenly go into this healing journey and then ofodile and like geshapu, like you are acknowledging and recognizing that first off, it took you 5 years of watching your life become a bit of a mess for you to then reach out for help, and it's still an ongoing journey. There's still triggers around you, even
Correct.
new triggers. What is your relationship with fire like at the moment?
It's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. That's one of the things that I made peace with. I'm not gonna let things trigger me, because it's so cliched.
Yeah.
I remember trying to trigger myself into an emotional state. I don't like this fight. Why am I doing that? I'm being so dramatic.
Didn't bother you. Yeah.
I'm being so dramatic, but there are moments where we'll sit around a braai and I'll zone out. And, like I'll look into the embers and suddenly I'm gone and I'm into that. I'm back there, It's neither here nor there, I guess. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just you have to recognize the triggers.
What else did you lose in that fire? I mean, you say the house burned down. Did you lose everything?
I lost everything except the car.
Wow.
Lost everything.
And how did you start to put your life? I mean, we've spoken about the emotional putting your life back together, but all those other little things from IDs to clothes to...
People are so amazing. Human beings are so amazing. I'll tell you that. I've got a newfound appreciation for Abantu. Whenever you hear people are this and that in a negative context, it's not true.
Yeah.
People are amazing. We have such a giving spirit. An event was held for me in KZN. The entire KZN entertainment community came out and they threw an event, and so much money was made. There were lots of donations done here in Joburg, from people that I didn't even know. So I can't even begin to start naming each and every person. You know what I mean? Because I don't know who gave. It might be people in this room.
Wow.
I don't
so people
know.
Literally came through and donated and got you.
It's really true. It's really true. It's not true. That part is not true, because I am because of every single person. You know what I mean? And I'm forever grateful.
What was the gift that you got out of this tragedy?
Love. Love. It's always been love. It's always been love. There's nothing else.
Final words that you'd love viewers to know about your story?
I don't know. I just believe that you have to live each and every single day as if it was your last. You have to love hard. You have to love hard. It's the only thing that you have. I mean, through the material things and everything else, all that's meaningless. Just love hard.
Your story for me, man, it's painful. It's really, really painful because it just happened like that. And even you saying like you were laughing, I completely get it, because it's so like, is this a dream? Is this a joke? Like, what's good? Like, I feel every single thing that you shared, and I'm so proud of you that you have overcome. You could have been a completely different person, but you chose to be this person. And for you to say the gift is love, man, I'm so happy for you for that. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Hashtag Unpacked with Relebogile. I think sometimes we take for granted how easy it is for fires to ravage our homes and to take away from us and to take lives from us. So where we can, let's be safe, getting fire extinguishers, getting ourselves clued up on the things that we can do. For those of you that cannot afford fire extinguishers or are not in a position to have fire extinguishers, let's better prepare ourselves for these type of emergencies and crises so that when they do happen, we can respond as quickly as possible. I would love for us to dedicate this episode to your son, to his memory, to his life, because he did live.
It's very kind of you.
And I think it is beautiful the way you describe your relationship. So may his memory live on. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. Next time on Unpacked.
I would swell up so much. I'd be sitting with you and my stomach would start swelling up.
But you were feeling okay, so you weren't worried. To symptoms coming back, to suddenly you need a liver transplant.
Yes, I did some tests. The nurse came back and said, how did you get here? Because first of all, you don't even have blood. If we do not find that level for you, you're going to die.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.